So, you want to own a private island. Not visit one. Not rent one for a long weekend and pretend your phone has finally stopped existing. Own one. A small piece of land surrounded by water, where the neighbors are distant, the views are excellent, and every basic service suddenly becomes your personal problem. Because from a distance, a private island looks like freedom. Up close, it looks more like a tiny country with bad plumbing. Private islands are one of the clearest examples of wealth turning into logistics. The dream is simple. You buy land, build a house, arrive by boat, and live out your peaceful billionaire fantasy, while the rest of the world continues having traffic. But the moment you actually own the island, the fantasy changes. Now you need fresh water, electricity, waste management, a dock that does not collapse every time the weather gets moody, insurance, permits, boats, fuel, staff, security, internet, repairs. And because the property is surrounded by water, every mistake arrives by boat and costs twice as much. So what is a private island legally? In most cases, it is just real estate. You are buying land or a leasehold interest in land, depending on the country. Some islands are freehold, meaning you can own them outright. Others are leasehold, meaning you are essentially renting the land from a government for a very long time. That detail matters, because there is a big difference between owning paradise and discovering you have purchased permission to stand on paradise until 2074. Private islands exist all over the world. Canada, Scotland, the Caribbean, Central America, French Polynesia, the Maldives, the Bahamas. Some are tiny wooded islands with a cabin and a dock. Others are fully developed resorts with villas, staff quarters, beaches, restaurants, power systems, and the kind of landscaping budget that makes a normal homeowner feel personally attacked. The price range is enormous. At the low end, you might find a small, undeveloped island for a few $100,000. These are often remote, seasonal, hard to access, or missing almost everything you need to live comfortably. Which is a polite way of saying you bought a beautiful problem. In the mid-range, private islands can cost $1 to $10 million. These might have a basic home, a usable dock, electricity, water systems, and enough infrastructure that you can visit without bringing your own civilization in coolers. At the luxury end, developed islands can cost tens of millions. Some resort islands reach hundreds of millions, especially in places where the island comes with a hospitality business, luxury villas, staff housing, permits, guest facilities, and an existing revenue stream. That is when you are no longer buying a vacation property. You are buying a company with beaches. And that brings us to the important question: how do you actually buy one? First, you need a specialist broker. Private islands are niche real estate, and many deals happen quietly. Then you need lawyers in the country where the island is located, because land ownership rules can change dramatically from one jurisdiction to another. Some countries restrict foreign ownership. Some require government approval. Some allow ownership but limit development. Some protect coastlines, wetlands, reefs, wildlife habitats, or historical sites. This is where the dream of building a 12-bedroom glass mansion meets a government department called Coastal Environmental Review. The government usually wins. Due diligence is everything. You need to confirm title, zoning, access rights, building permissions, environmental restrictions, water rights, dock permits, and whether anyone else has legal access to the island. Because nothing ruins the private island fantasy faster than discovering the public has a legal right to picnic on your beach. Then there is infrastructure. This is the real cost. A normal house connects to the grid. A private island often has to become the grid. Electricity might come from solar panels, batteries, generators, wind, or a connection to the mainland if you are lucky and close enough. Water may come from wells, rainwater collection, desalination, or shipped supply. Sewage needs septic systems, composting systems, or treatment infrastructure. Internet may come from satellite. Trash has to leave somehow. Every single system needs backup. Because when something breaks on an island, you do not call a repairman. You schedule a small expedition. Even access is a business decision. You need a dock, a boat, maybe multiple boats, storage, fuel, safety equipment, and someone who knows what they are doing. If the island is larger or more remote, you may need a helipad. The more private the island is, the more expensive it becomes to reach. Privacy, it turns out, has a transportation department. Now, can the island make money? Sometimes. A private island can operate as a luxury rental, boutique resort, retreat property, wedding venue, eco-tourism destination, or corporate getaway. But that turns the island from a personal escape into a hospitality business. Now you need guest services, cleaning, food, maintenance, marketing, insurance, emergency planning, staff management, and a way to get people there safely. You also need reviews. So, congratulations! You bought an island to escape people, and now you are reading complaints because the Wi-Fi was slow during someone's sunset yoga retreat. The business can work, but only if the location is desirable, access is manageable, permits allow commercial use, and the guest experience is genuinely premium. A beautiful island with terrible logistics is not a resort. It is a very expensive survival challenge with linens. Operating costs are where owners get humbled. Even if you do not rent it out, the island still needs care. Docks rot. Boats need maintenance. Generators need fuel. Solar batteries age. Salt air attacks everything. Storms rearrange your budget. Staff need housing, wages, transport, and supplies. Insurance can be difficult and expensive, especially in hurricane zones. And if the island has buildings, nature will begin slowly trying to repossess them. That is one of the strange truths of private island ownership. The island does not care that you bought it. The vegetation keeps growing. The ocean keeps moving. The weather keeps negotiating. You are not really conquering nature. You are paying to delay it. Could you realistically own one? Yes, but probably not the version in your head. If you have a few $100,000, you might be able to buy a raw or seasonal island. But you may not be able to build much, live there year-round, or access it easily. If you have several million, you can start looking at more functional islands with homes and utilities. If you have tens of millions, you can buy something closer to the fantasy. And if you have hundreds of millions, you can own a private island resort and spend your mornings discussing guest occupancy, shoreline erosion, and whether the backup generator has developed a personality. So, should you own a private island? Only if you love privacy more than convenience. Because a private island is not just a place, it is a supply chain, a utility company, a marina, a maintenance business, a weather risk, a legal file, sometimes a hotel. The dream is that you own a world apart. The reality is that the world still has to reach you. It just arrives by boat.